Oh, I might have turned up the volume on the computer.
Oops.
Which won't affect us, but will affect when something yells at us. So, hello, welcome. I'm tired.
Good morning and welcome to the Dear Becky and Lizzy edition.
I was about to say welcome to the sideshow, but Liz
Hi.
beat me to the punch. And I'm already overheated, so I love the sweater and I'm doing my whole like, I'm gonna wear my newest creation until I'm exhausted of it. And I'm overheated. It's cold outside. Well, it's chilly. It's not cold, bitter cold.
Yeah.
It's chilly outside, but it's nice and temperature controlled in here. So I'm hot. Hi, I'm Rebecca. I'm the owner of Sun Dragon Art and Fiber. And I don't think it was that foggy, just brisk and chilly this morning, Brevard, North Carolina.
I'm Liz. I'm the minion there.
Would you agree?
Yes, it was
I didn't have the creepy fog on my
40
way in.
something this morning when I was on my way.
Dead air, Liz, vamp.
Sorry.
No, I'm a little tired. That's
It's
not
a
news.
thing.
It's not a thing. I'm gonna try drinking some water because I already had my coffee. So, I didn't have a giant coffee this morning,
Yeah.
but I've already had my coffee. So yeah, not more. But were we gonna try hot chocolate this morning?
We were.
Okay. We might have to after filming, or I can bring in more milk another day. We can have hot chocolate on camera. I get everyone jealous. Although by the time you watch it, it's not really morning hot chocolate weather.
No.
Yes. So I didn't have my monster cup of coffee that I could take in a travel mug this
Travel
morning.
mug.
So
Mm.
my travel mug's dirty, so it's not here. So I'm trying to hydrate because I don't hydrate enough. How many people out there can relate?
Hydration. It's important.
I drink
or
a lot
so
of
I'm
caffeine,
told.
but I don't hydrate. There's a difference. Yeah, well, when you don't hydrate well, then it suddenly becomes important. So
yes.
And I'm just all like, change of seasons. I think I'd feel better if I was hydrating more. Anyway, so yes, it's the Dear Becky and Lizzy edition, and we have a couple questions. But first,
She has stories.
I have mousecapades. I promised you mousecapades. So, and some people who came by the shop have already heard it. And Liz has already heard it twice. But anyway, so no, the cat was well behaved last night,
Good.
and there were no mousecapades. And I think we both got sleep, which is great, right? So let's see. Yesterday, it was, I think the first time I woke up was probably around 5 because I heard the cat making weird noises. I didn't hear squeakies. That's mice. But I heard the cat making weird noises and I wasn't sure. And he was like breathing heavy and deep. And I was just like, sometimes didn't quite sound like the sound he's going to make before he upchucks. But I have radar for that too.
Well,
because that's
as
something
everybody does.
That's something I might step in later or something, so, and I want to make sure he's okay. I mean, there is that. But so he was kind of huffing and I woke up because I said, ooh, maybe he's sick. Turned on the light and he is right by the door. He's right, excuse me. He's right by the door to the hallway. And he's just crouched there. And I'm like, which is kind of a, crouching can be a I'm about to puke sign.
Yeah.
Right. And then I realized he's more chuffing and huffing. He's not, it's not the same noise. And then he starts moving. So he's here by like the door jamb, the crack. And then he's running around the back side of the door and the front and the back. And I'm like, oh no. He's in stalking mode. He
found him a friend.
And he thought I was going to help. And he was sadly mistaken. But no, I looked behind the door and there was a little itty bitty mouse, which only time I will mention this was smaller than the spider that was in my bathroom. Moving on. So I tried to get in there and like the cat's running back and forth. He's like, I can see it through the crack in the door. I can run around the other side. I can see it through the crack of the door. I can run around the other side. I'm trying to get the cat out of the way so I can try to save this mouse. And there's nothing up in my bedroom with which to grab the mouse because I'm not taking it in my hands. Found a little Ziploc bag. By the time I did that, he was gone. Poof. And I kind of peered around. I looked under some blankets and towels on the floor. Couldn't see it. So I was like, I'm sorry, both Avi and Mouse. He escaped. Went back to bed. Got up at 6 because I heard the cat running all around upstairs. And there's not a lot upstairs to run around, but I heard him basically in the other room doing the like, you know, and I was like, oh boy. It sounds like that, but it's his claws on the carpet.
Yeah.
You imagine that as claws on the carpet noise. You got it. So it was time for me to get up anyway. So I got up and went in the other room. One of these times I got up, I put some sweatpants on. I had my nightshirt and sweatpants because I figured I was going to have to take something outside. I go in the other room and nobody's there. Cat's not there. Can't see signs of a mouse. And I'm like, okay, we've played this game before. Often when he catches the mouse, he will run downstairs with it. And so I went downstairs and he's in the dining room. Lap. He's just like, where do I take it now? What do I do? What do I do? Or he might know that I maybe want to not have him have it. So we go down, I go downstairs and he's by himself in the dining room area, which doesn't have much furniture in it. And he looks at me. Except this part, little mouse head. He was just like, and I went, okay, I'm gonna need that mouse. And I come towards him and he's like, it's mine. He didn't say anything, but that was the look on his face, was it's mine. And he starts to like go off in the other room. And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to chase this guy and get the mouse back. And he's like skirting around the living room towards the stairs. And he stops at the foot of the stairs and looks at me. And he's like, it's mine. And he runs up the stairs. And I'm like, ah, crap. So, you know, get my exercise in, right?
Yeah. Cat exercise too.
He's like, and the little mouse, I mean, this mouse is not moving. I'm like, this mouse is dead. He has it. He has chomped on it. It is dead. Although that didn't happen last time. So I'm like, So I grab a little zipper laundry bag, like the ones I keep my masks in and stuff. Cause I'm like that, you know, air holes for the mouse. He can survive to get outside. I don't know. And it's something for me to grab him. And I run upstairs and I find him in the other bedroom and get a hand on the cat, get the bag around his face and try to tug on the mouse. And he growled at me, the cat was like, oh, and he hasn't done that before, but he was just like, the mouse was not budging. And I was worried about doing damage to the mouse by pulling, but it was like, he was like, this is my mouse, mom. Don't you dare take him away. And I'm trying to grab him by the scruff of the neck and get his jaws open, which I could do with there's other cats where you put your hand behind and you go right here and they will pop open. I've never tried that with Avi because I figure I'm going to lose a finger.
Yeah.
At some point in this scuffle, he does let go. And the mouse, who for all intents and purposes was immobile and dead, suddenly goes, I'm free. And starts hopping and runs under the dresser that's in that room. And I was like, oh, bad words, you know, because he's so little, I'm never gonna find him now. And the cat instantly like doesn't really get mad at me, thankfully, but was like, we gotta catch him, and goes as close as he can, stalking the dresser. And I'm trying to pull things away and see if he went under some clothes, because there's piles everywhere in my house. There's just piles. And at some point, the mouse darts out and goes over by the door under the cat scratcher. We got a little zoop-de-zoop cat scratcher. Cat doesn't see this. So the cat is still like, mom, he's under the dresser. He's under the dresser. And I'm just like, no, Avi, he's over here. I can see him. And I pull the little cat scratcher out to try to catch him. And he runs a different direction across the room. This is not a big room. He runs a different direction across the room, bounces off my foot. I yelp involuntarily and runs to the other corner that, again, the cat is over here. Like, mom, he's under the dresser. And he runs to the other corner where I have some Tupperware totes, right? Some big totes that he then hides behind. And I'm pulling at the totes and trying to get him. And he's running around and he's doing his little, I'm a mouse, I can fit in like an inch of space. And the cat is still like, mom, he's under the dresser. And finally, I think the mouse just got tired and he stopped by the French doors, not in the corner, somewhere I actually could grab him. And I managed to get the little the little laundry bag over him and scoop him up. And this is a resilient mouse, because most mice, when I get them in something, like I've done this enough times that most of them will just play dead in the bag.
Yeah.
And this one was like, let me climb. I'm going to get out. I'm going to go. I still have a chance. And so I tried to keep it closed. I didn't zip it, but I tried to keep it closed. And I got downstairs and I went outside, and my outdoor light is enough to like keep bugs away and predators maybe, but not to see by. So when it's still dark out, because it was still dark out. So I took it to the mouse island, I'm now calling it. The little island, like my driveway does a little zip, zip, like the streets here, and it goes zip, zip, and there's a little island of grass and debris and whatever. And that's where I dump all the mice, because I figure maybe I can get back in the house before it can cross the driveway and get back in the house. And he didn't really want to come out of the bag, so I just left it there. And I go inside and I take my shower. And I come out of the shower, and the cat is still like, Mom, he's under the dresser. And I'm like, no, cat, he is long gone, and you're not going to believe me. So I'm just going to go about my day. So that's my mouse story. And it was entertaining and more fun than the spider, because he's smaller. But I still yelped a little when he bounced off my foot.
As one does.
Yeah. So I think we're up to 3 or 4 mouse stories now. Yeah. And I don't believe they're all the same mouse. But you know, he was trying to.
You're slowly evicting a family of mice.
Yeah, I think they're just coming right back in though. But because he was tracking something in the walls near my laundry machines, which are nowhere near, like upstairs is where he's caught all the mice. And he was tracking something downstairs in the wall, probably because he was doing the running back and forth between the laundry machines and the vents behind them, and like the other side of that wall as close as he could get. And that was when a couple nights ago I was doing laundry. I think it was during knit night actually. I went to go change my wash to the dryer, and he was just hovering by the wall, and I opened up the dryer, and I'd look down, he's jumped inside. I'm just like, get out, you know, but he thought if he jumped inside the dryer, he could find the mouse.
Yeah.
He's very industrious. He's very fixated. Not at all like me. Not at all. Anyway, so that's our entertaining mousecapades for the day. And now we should get to our questions. This is like, I was just waiting.
I'm just waiting.
I promised y'all mousecapades. We've had mousecapades now.
Okay, we have 2. The first one is, if you could go to any fiber festival in the world, which one would you choose and why?
And see, I knew this was coming, but I didn't research it.
I didn't either.
Like, I'm sure there's some fabulous ones out there. We can return to all the things I said I wasn't going to talk about till today, and then I kind of talked about it Tuesday a little. But I know of the big ones. I only know of a handful. And I would say in the US, like we were saying before, Rhinebeck and Maryland Sheep and Wool are like 2 of the biggest that I know of.
Yeah.
I'm sure we have, I was supposed to say readers. I'm sure we have watchers who will disagree, and feel free to comment below of ones you've gone to or heard of that. I'm
sure
that
any of the stitches are big.
Yeah, there's a whole series. There's like Stitches West and Stitches East and Stitches South. That's ones in Atlanta usually. I haven't been to them. In terms of, someone came in the shop the other day and said, "Oh, it must be really hard to you know, get all this stuff at market, you know, or at the fairs or the, you know." And I was like, I don't go to those. The trade shows, basically. The trade shows for buying yarn, the really, really big one was TNNA. And that would happen often. It sometimes rotated, but often it was up in Ohio. And TNNA is kind of disbanded to a certain extent. But there are a lot of yarn shops, like coming from that angle. You would go up for 2 or 3 days to Ohio, and you would meet with all the people. And when I first opened the shop, it was, oh, maybe we'll see you at TNNA. And it's mammoth and totally overwhelming. And while it would be, but you get deals and you see new things and new trends. And I've never gone. And now it doesn't really happen anymore, because that kind of like, part of that was COVID and part of it wasn't. I think it's the whole you need to spend money to make money adage that I didn't embrace it, that when I first opened the shop, of I wasn't going to shut down the shop and spend the money to go to Ohio, and the drive or the flight and the hotel, and I just couldn't justify it, even with the spend money to make money, like having an employee, even if you can't afford one, or having a second employee. If you carve out the money to have them, then actually you might end up selling more yarn, so it's worth it, even if you don't have the money, that kind of thing. It's
So in a hypothetical world,
yes.
if you had money and time and minions to run the store for you,
I might have gone to TNNA.
Any other yarn fests?
Well,
that
see,
you would
that
go
one's
to?
more of a trade show. So yes, switching gears back to the original question. Thank you, Liz, for keeping me on track.
You're welcome.
I just had to share that. I would definitely go to Rhinebeck. Like I said, like they have nicknames when they're really big, and I'm a little jelly. I'm more than a little jelly of all the people who went to Rhinebeck and like saw people wearing the sweater they knit in different colors, because that's a thing. It's like, what's your Rhinebeck sweater? Like it's a known phenomenon that you finish for Rhinebeck. It's a sweater. Not everyone does that, but there's this whole like legacy of the Rhinebeck sweater. So you finish a new sweater that you will wear to Rhinebeck, and you do one every year. And for SAFF, for the Southeastern Animal Fiber Fair that we have near us, people like to wear something. It's not like, oh, SAFF sweater, but it's like, it's wear a shawl, do so. It doesn't matter what temperature it is out. Right now, it's a nice brisk fall weather. So it's perfect for wearing the warm and woolies. But once you get inside, it's hot. So,
I think Edinburgh's still doing
well,
it
I was
there.
about to say, yeah,
I'd go to Edinburgh's
outside of the US.
Yeah, I'd rather go to like Edinburgh for their yarn fest. Although I've heard
That's
rumors
pretty
that
legendary, right?
they were scaling it back.
Mhm.
Or Shetland does a week. The Shetland Islands, they do a
Mhm.
week of wool and fun, and everybody descends on this tiny little group of islands to go do yarn stuff and roving and sheep and everything.
Yeah,
but
outside of the US, those are the two that I've heard of.
I
as
might
well.
do that during the off season. Like
We have an off season.
well, no, like there's it's like a week
Off season for them.
For them. There's like a week that everybody goes.
Oh,
We're
gosh,
all
don't do that.
going, like all the
I mean, go do that if you want to be people-y and meet people. But right now, I don't want to meet people.
I had a neighbor who went to do the Shetland Island tour thing, but she went on the off season. Like,
yeah,
they have it in the sun. I think it's in the summer, so it's warmer and everything. But I would go either in the spring or early fall, even though it would be colder. You get the benefit of wearing all your warm and woolies.
And honestly, you probably get a better, like, again, I know price is not an option, like an obstacle in our hypothetical conversation, but you probably get a better deal on everything.
Yeah,
like
there's
where
more
you stay and
choices of where to stay, and
well, and price. I am
prices,
sure during the high demand time, things are more expensive. Where you want to stay, it's going to be more expensive. Like that's when my sister does our family vacations, which I no longer really go to because I'm always working here. She would pick places that it was off season, like Vale, but during the summer, so no one was skiing, so things were more affordable, because it's the off season. But Edinburgh, I mean, for so many reasons, Edinburgh and Shetland would be awesome things to go do.
I'm sure there's
stuff in South America, which would be really cool too, but we're just not as up to speed on it. And we hear it's more what we hear from customers sometimes. And that's where they're going. So
it's not necessarily a wool festival, but in Sweden, I want to say.
Oh, you want to do the punk rock?
Oh no, it's not punk rock. It's heavy metal and knitting.
That's why I stopped talking, because you know the proper name for it. It's like, people headbanging while knitting with loud guitars and stuff.
Yeah. My brother and I talked about it, and he was like, well, how heavy is it? And I'm like, heavy. And he went, and knitting? And I went, it's so cool. I want to go. And
They're not antithetical things.
No.
That's the thing. It's like stereotypes get stuck in people's heads, and the stereotypes exist for a reason, because there are people who fit the stereotype of like an older knitter sitting by the fire, and that's lovely as well. But that's not the only people who knit. There's a wide variety of knitters and crocheters in this world. Absolutely. So yeah, Rhinebeck, and that used to be, so that's up in New York. It's technically the New York Sheep and Wool Festival, but everyone calls it Rhinebeck. That just happened. Maryland Sheep and Wool, which is just called Maryland Sheep and Wool. I think that usually happens in the spring.
Right around our yarn
it's near
crawl.
our yarn crawl, which is our yarn crawl is always for the Western North Carolina. We always do on Mother's Day weekend. So that one would be fun, but like Rhinebeck has like the legacy. Maryland Sheep and Wool is also very cool. And that one, is that in Baltimore?
It's outside
of
Baltimore.
Just like ours is outside of Asheville. The SAFF one that we keep talking about, that technically starts today, although it starts today in that there are classes today. And then the selling of things, being able to go and buy things, is going to happen Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We are open today and Friday and Saturday, and we do not have a physical shop presence at SAFF. Because I mean, I could make it like sound more grandiose than it is and say, I want people to spend money at SAFF on all the indie dyers and local dyers and the artisans. Instead of like cluttering it up with our stuff, which some of it is artisan and a lot of it's not.
There's lots of complications.
There's complications for us, and we've talked about it before. There's just it's too much for us to do. And people are like, oh, but wouldn't it be so cool? In theory, yes. If we had unlimited number of people and we had unlimited amount of yarn in the shop, so we wouldn't look empty by packing some up and taking it, then yes, maybe we would do that. But honestly, a lot of what we have might be duplicates of other yarn shops that are presences there. And then it's like, we might all benefit, or only one of us benefits. And in the end, is it really worth the time and the energy and the insurance and the, stuff? So we just stay here and hope people find us, which again, remember, if you are going to SAFF, when you exit the fairgrounds for SAFF, you will be dumped onto 280 and you're on one side of 280. If you take a left as you exit and you stay on that road, even after it is no longer 280, you just stay on it. Don't turn left or right. And you stay on that road and you pass, like as you come into Brevard, you're going to pass an Ingalls on your left, and a business part of the road that you're on shoots off to the right. Don't do it. Stay on the regular part. Takes you right past Brevard College into downtown. When you cross Main Street, you're on our block and we're on the left, and you should come visit us because, and then we're going to shift to the other question. Liz is like, I'm ready for the other question, right? Are you? I don't know. But I figured, segue. If you come visit us and you mention SAFF, not only do you get your choice of a shop pin, a dragon or a Viking, just for mentioning SAFF. Even if you don't buy anything from us, get a shop pin. If you can get a shop bag for basically half price for $10, one of our big vinyl bags. If you spend over $75 of whatever real money we get from you, so it doesn't include discounts or shop credit or anything like that, we will give you both shop pins. And if you spend over $150 with us, you get the shop bag, the vinyl shop bag, for free, complimentary for spending some money with us. And that is today. That starts today, Friday or Saturday, but you have to mention SAFF. You have to say, I'm in town for SAFF. Even if you're local, say, I'm here because I might go to SAFF this week. So mention SAFF.
If you're buying something, mention it at the register.
Yes, remind us. Don't tell us when you come in the door and then expect us to give you things at the register, because depending on how many people come in today, we will forget.
Our brains melt quickly.
And sometimes if there's no one in the shop, we will forget, because that's life right now. So I'm just getting that out of the way now, because this is the last show people are going to see if they're up to speed on shows for the whole weekend. We will not be open on Sunday, even though SAFF is still happening on Sunday. We haven't had a real honest to goodness day off in 2 weeks. And so we need to go home and die. Yes. and sleep a lot. So what is the other question? Because I'm forgetting.
The other question. Good morning, lovely fiber friends. What do you do to deter moths from your wool collection?
And she didn't write out the word because, as I'm remembering this now, she sent me a screenshot
Yeah.
because, you know, that's like the unspoken.
It's the bad word. Also, the Charlotte's Universe Afghan has me hooked. Becky's is lovely. Sincerely yours, Fluffy Florida fiber friend.
Yes, and we have a knitter / crocheter. It's actually her first crochet project, which is fantastic. She's doing the Charlotte's Universe, and she's doing it out of bamboo pop, which is a plant fiber blend, which might work better for, say, Florida. Although making it out of an acrylic or a wool like I am, or an alpaca wool blend like I am, can still work for Florida in places, because it's not like it's something you're going to wear out of the house in the bright sunshine. It's something you might want to have over your lap in the air conditioning inside.
Well, and keep in mind, no matter what yarn you use, it's going to eat up a crap ton.
Oh my gosh.
That is an actual specific weight for yarn.
It means
a crap ton.
Lot.
Yes.
It was my morning meditation this morning, and then we'll transition back to the earlier part of this, which we might not have as much that people want to hear about, but it was my morning meditation this morning. I finally finished. Like, you're adding little chunks onto the sides. I on Tuesday I said, I think we're going towards whole corners in the other direction. We're not. I looked it up. But there's a little bit of like a long trapezoid on each side, and I've finished one of them for 12 right now. One, which added like this much with the little triangles, and I'm running out of room to photograph it in my office space. I mean, part of that's because I have a lot of clutter around the edges of my office that I haven't unpacked yet.
You probably need to bring it in here and stand on the 4th rung ladder.
Maybe. But that means, I mean, my morning post will be delayed, but that's okay. Because I'm running out of room to photograph it. And the cat is getting very grumpy when I try to take it out from under him to lay it out to photograph. But yes, it is wonderful. And yes, it takes a crap ton. Like, the 6th skein of the Alba, and this is stuff that is 382 yards. The 6th skein has this little nugget left, and that's it. I'm going to have to use the 7th skein, which is a lot of yarn. A lot. I'm on like my third. That's not third. This is third. I'm on my 3rd skein of the Patagonia, same yardage. And I only have about half of that left, if that, and I don't know how much more. That's
and
the
how
pink.
Many of the blues have you used?
I think I'm still on my 2nd of the blue. The 3rd color, you're only supposed to use like maybe 900 to 1,000 yards on. Depending on how much is in these last few steps, I might not need a 3rd blue. I think I'm only on my 2nd. I haven't kept track well enough.
That's like 700. So you're probably going to need to break into.
I might. Well, I haven't yet. I still have like half of that one left of my 2nd. So I'm playing the long game on this. That's why I'm trying to finish it so y'all can know.
For those of you keeping track, that's like 12 to 13 balls of 384 yards worth of yarn.
Oh, they say it's like at minimum 5,000 yards of yarn.
Yeah.
So let's see, because I can't use a partial skein, I'm not going to make a kit with partial skeins or anything. 382 times 7. Yeah, I'm hitting the upper end. It said no, and that one, it was like 2,200 or 2,500 to 3,500. That's actually only like 7 skeins is only 2,600 yards of yarn. So I'm actually hitting where I'm supposed to on yarn A. But then yarn B, I'm over 1,000 yards in turn. I haven't used up that 1,000 yards yet, but I'm coming close to 1,000 yards. And you're right, the other one's like 700 or something. We just got to see. There's it's taking a really long time to get across rows now, because it's like it's larger than my wingspan. Like when we hold it up, it's the whole length of the table right now. And even if it's doing this on the edges just so slightly, it's still long, still taking forever. And then I have to contend with the cat saying, no, it is my blanket, you can't touch it tonight. And then I'm like, so yeah, I'm glad you're hooked on it and think it's lovely. And
it's an awesome Afghan.
I don't know if we have enough yarn in the shop for anyone else, unless, I mean, you could do it out of the Alba or the Patagonia with other colors, but we have to see what we have in stock and be creative about getting you the right quantities or seeing if we can get it back in. Like I could see it out of some of our new colors. It'd be gorgeous. But
yeah. The other thing you could do is do it out of fingering weight, which would lighten the use the
and with a
same hook
smaller,
as the DK.
Yeah, I'm using a really small hook with the DK because my yarn is thinner and my gauge, to get my gauge, she's a tight crocheter and I'm not, so I have to go way down. I'm on like an E or a D, I think, actually. But a fingering weight, if you did it on, she did hers on a G. A fingering weight one on like a D could be beautiful. But if you're like me, like it could end up being too lacy, and sometimes having a nice chunky stitch is actually really good for some of the decorative stitches in this. Like I'm finding mine is looser than hers. Like if you look at her pictures, her stitches are much thicker than mine. Both the yarn is thicker and her hook, you know, and she's tight crocheter. I think it looks good either way. There could be a thinness to it. You could get too drapey on it and lose some of the definition. But you have to play around with that. That's a personal preference question. It's one of those things of, should I do this? And it's like, I can't tell you what to do on that because you might like a different look than I do, you know. I really quick aside, Liz is looking at me like that's never a thing. I've fallen in love with reels by a certain person on Instagram, and I'm gonna forget who it is. I'll look it up later if I can. But she does like she mimes words to, like, you know, the reels are all like someone else saying something. And the one that's funny, I'm gonna show Liz later when I can find it, is like when because she's a yarn shop owner, and it's like someone says, well, how long should it take me to knit a sweater? She's like, the reaction to that, and the voiceover clip that she's found is like, well, maybe a month, maybe 2 months, maybe 8 months. That's a hard time for, you know. It's like I muck it up. It was really funny because when someone comes in and says, well, how long should it take to knit a papillon? It's like,
if I am a monogamous knitter on a papillon and I'm at work.
Yeah. Well, see,
it
there's so many
takes
factors.
over a month for me because
there's so many factors,
you know,
and you know how to do it. Someone who doesn't know how to do it, it might take them longer. If they're a slower knitter than you, it could take them longer. It's like
if you're not monogamous, there's not a
quantifiable
craft, it's going to take longer.
If you have a busy life, it's going to take longer. If you are a very slow knitter, and there's nothing wrong with that, it's going to take you longer. So if we spitball and throw out a figure of, well, maybe a few weeks, you know, and then it takes them longer, and we don't want them angry at us because there's too many unknown variables. That is not a solvable equation in math. There's too many.
It's even harder to pin that one down than the age-old question. So I want to do a blanket. How many stitches should I cast on, and how much yarn should I use? Like,
okay, we should get back to the moth question.
The moths. How do you keep moths at bay?
Which I say like I need to keep us on track here when I'm the reason we're off track. So, well,
I've heard of two.
I was going to say, we can tell you what we've heard because we personally, I don't think have had moth issues. You knock on wood. The shop hasn't. We have all this open yarn here, and people come in and they're horrified because they just see the potential for moth infestations, and it hasn't happened. Go ahead.
So one of our knitters, she puts moths don't like lavender, and she'll put lavender on cotton balls and keep her yarn sealed in bags with the cotton ball inside. That's one method. One of my ladies that I buy roving from off of Etsy, she used to send little sachets of lavender with all of her roving orders, but a lot of people are very sensitive to smells and scents and things. And she said, as long as like it's being moved around every day or whatever, moths don't like anything disturbing them. So if you know, like here, we're moving with the yarn almost every day. Like the yarn doesn't just stay in one place.
Well, and it might take a while, but we tend to rearrange things. So yeah, not keeping things sedentary or like things I've heard are keeping your yarn sealed, like in Ziploc bags. And I mean, you can do containers, but containers are not airtight usually. And the Ziploc bags with the lavender, right? I've heard cedar chests or cedar chips in with things, but again, that could be a sensory issue for some people. I've heard a lot of different things, and I can't say that I can prove any of them because I haven't done them. Because again, it could be the air circulation in the shop or other things. Like some people come in and they're like, how do you keep the moths away? Because it's not like we keep the door shut. I mean, in COVID times, we kind of try to keep the door shut as much as we can. But over at the old shop, we would keep it open all the time to try to encourage people to come in because they wouldn't see us back there, or for airflow, or for, and it's not like we've never had a moth fly in the shop. I'm sure we have. So I can't really say, well, this is what works, but it's a really good question because I've also seen all over the internet where everyone's having issues with it. Or something. Sometimes it's not moths. Sometimes it is some other bug gets in, or some other critter gets into someone's stash. And when they go to use yarn that's been there for a while, it kind of falls apart on them. And if it falls apart, like that could just be age of the yarn. But if you can sometimes tell when it has been, if it comes apart in a certain way, it's been chomped on. So,
it's a fiber and it will degrade over time.
That's another thing.
Like thread, if you buy old cotton thread, it will air rot over time.
That's another thing. And it could be air rot, but you think it's moths, and unless you can see like the little larvae and the little white thingies in there. We had at He Who Should Not Be Named's house when I lived there, we had carpet beetles a lot, and I would sometimes freak out, but nothing that I know of happened to my old yarn stash. And the old things I've knit, they're still in piles in my new house. And my new house is the middle of the forest, and it's not necessarily protected from the elements. Like I've had my bouts of the air conditioning not working, so things are getting moist. And I've had my bouts of the heat's not on, which hopefully would kill critters. But I obviously have mice in my house, but I haven't run into too many issues of having animal and critter damage to my yarn. And I guess I'm just like, karma has worked in my favor so far. And at some point my luck will run out, I'm sure. But I can't say that we live in an area where you're not prone to having moth damage. So it's kind of weird. It's like, I don't have good advice on that. We have a lot of like anecdotally what we've heard. Is there anything else we want to add to that?
I don't think we have any,
and we don't have that much time left, but but it's like, it's a great question, and I'm kind of like, I wish we had better
if anybody else has cool ideas,
write it in the comments.
Put it in the comments. We did not mention mothballs because mothballs, they're bad. Like I can't breathe around mothballs.
That's another sensory issue. And I honestly don't know what mothballs will do. Like in theory, because people used to use them all the time, right? In theory, they won't damage stuff, but there's some crazy chemicals in those, aren't there?
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I'd avoid it if you can.
I stayed away from mothballs my whole life. And then when we moved in with my mother-in-law, she had boxes of them with her sweaters. Like a whole box of mothballs tucked in the drawer with her sweaters. And I had to go and find them and throw them away and let the room completely air out for a couple of days.
There's a smell of mothballs that do not come out of my nose.
I just couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
So it was,
the person that I just started following, and most of her page is all her little reels she makes. They're kind of funny. Some of them are hilarious. I just looked up. The handle is Woolbath, like WOOLBATH. And I'm not endorsed to say this. I just stumbled. I've seen enough of her stuff when I go to the search and just scroll through that I'm like, I'm going to follow her now because I felt seen because she's a yarn shop owner, and some of the stuff that she's saying. She has Lily Kate access, by the way. Oh, cool. She's in the UK. She's not one of the few retailers in the US who has her, but there was this one this one reel where it's like, wow, and she's holding up all the different yarns. Like she's really good at making the reels. I'm not good at making reels. I'm not even gonna try. But one of the yarns she was like, wow, was Lily Kate. I was like, I know that yarn. I love it. But no, she uses them effectively. She's got the subtitles and the voiceover things that she's lip syncing to. Like there's one from Harry Potter where they're like, you originally applied to be the dark arts teacher, right? And instead of that, it's like the subtitle is like, you tried really hard not to cast on another project, and then it's Snape going like, yes, and she's like, but you were unsuccessful, and she's like, yes, and like she's funny. You should follow her. She's her name is Laura Shipley, and she has an arts and crafts store. I'm assuming it's in Bath. That's probably why it's Woolbath, because it is in the UK, because her website attached to it is woolbath.co.uk. So she's a UK yarn shop, but she is very clever and very cute. And I enjoy her reels because I don't make reels. I do my minute of meditation. I don't do the cute stuff because then I'd have to maintain doing the cute stuff and I don't have time. This is as cute as we get.
And if she did one cute thing, people would want more. And
yeah. Oh my gosh. Then I really would die. But I appreciate her clever creativeness. So check her out if you want to. And I'm going to show Liz some funnies when we get off the air. But we need to go open the shop.
Yes.
And get ready for a lesson and get ready for shout out to Cheryl Dobkins, who is, I don't usually use names, but we have multiple Cheryls. So like full names, who's coming to visit. And she's probably going to mention SAFF because she's here for SAFF. And I saw on Facebook or Instagram, she saw a bear right outside her
jealous.
Airbnb,
I want a bear.
Or her VRBO, whatever we're gonna call it. Like Liz hasn't seen it. I was like, Cheryl's got one up on you.
I want a bear. I want a bear so bad. I want a bear that like lives in my backyard.
I wouldn't want a bear that close to me. I've seen a bear driving home about three houses away from me. I'm okay with that. That makes me think I should be cleaning my car out better. But I live in the middle of the forest. I shouldn't be leaving wrappers in my car, probably. Oh, well, I left the Halloween candy, although that was in a sealed container, in my car for a few days. My car is still standing. That's good. All right. We love you. We miss you. If you are in town for anytime this weekend, except Sunday, except Sunday, I can't speak straight. Come visit us and mention SAFF and get some swag.
Like, subscribe, ring the bell, all that fun stuff. Yes. Patreon, yay!
Yes. You still have till next Tuesday to take advantage of the Sideshow 600 subs for 26% off in our online shop or here at the shop. The 600 is numbers. The rest of it is words, no spaces. All right. Oh, help us get to 700 next.
Issues.
I just tripped, but
and the boss is still standing.
Happy Boss Day.